Hi everybody, welcome back to Spruverse, my scale model universe. It's great to have you with me, and a big thank you to everybody who continues to subscribe to the channel and be a part of my universe. I really appreciate everybody, and I'm so grateful to everybody who is coming along on this journey with me. And this is a brand new build. Now, there are going to be several builds that I'm going to be putting out over the next several months. My travel schedule is a little crazy, so things might not be in progression, and I apologize for that. But I wanted to get this video out for a whole bunch of reasons before my schedule goes a little topsy-turvy. But this is a very special episode of Spruverse for me. And I want to sort of indulge me for a minute, if you don't mind, while I tell you, I get great emails from all of the hobbyists out there and subscribers who just share their stories with me or share their photos of their builds. And I'm so grateful for that too, because it's awesome to see the community building. That's a big part of why I put this channel up, is to let everybody know that, a mediocre modeler like myself can get into this hobby and really sort of come to the bench every day and learn something. But I want all of you out there who I know have stashes to get something on the bench. I don't care if you model for 10 minutes or 10 hours. I want you to get those models out and build with me, because that's what it's all about. It's great community, it's great therapy, and it's great fun. Today, I'm embarking on a journey that I've never been on before. I don't build planes, and there's a reason for it. It's not that I don't, there's certain genres that I sort of am fascinated with. World War II is certainly one of them. And my dream is to build a couple of World War II pieces, certainly a Spitfire, and perhaps a couple of others. But I haven't got around to them. They're in my stash. But recently, I received an email from one of my subscribers. His name is Brett, and I just want to read you this email. He's given me permission to share with you. But anyway, he tells me he lives in California, and that he had recently purchased a Nazi-developed Horton 229. And this is in 132 scale, and it's made by Zoukei-Mura. And it has incredible detail, which it does. Also included is a concept note guide, some decals, appliques for the plywood wing structure. He says while he's a skill level 1-2, novice intermediate, he calls himself, I'm right with him. He says the Horton kit is much more advanced than he thinks he could reasonably complete. He also was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and does not think he is capable of doing a good job on this kit. And so he very kindly offered the kit to me. And this is where the journey began, because after I read that email, I realized that this is one of those opportunities for me to self-commission. And it's a little scary for me, because I'm leaping off a cliff here into a world that I don't know very much about. And I'm just as scared of screwing up this kit as he might have been. But I just felt a calling, and I feel an obligation to be able to build this kit for him. So I accepted the kit on his behalf, but only under the condition that I could build it for him and return it to him. And so we're going to go on that journey together. Hopefully we'll go through the complete build together, warts and all, and perhaps, hopefully, with his permission, film the delivery so I can take it back to him and put this model back with its rightful owner. And so that's the essence of this. And there's another reason for me to want to do this too, because this is part of the sort of the giving back to community that I feel really humbled to be able to do. It's pretty awesome. Over the years, I've built so many models that I've given away. I gave them away because people would say, I really love that, or I think my brother or my friend would really appreciate that, and I wanted to give it to them so that they would have something that they could enjoy. The net result was I ended up with nothing, which is probably a good idea because over the years, you know, when you move and you guys all know this, you move, you pack everything up, and when you unpack everything, everything's got a bit broken off of it. This is chipped, that's cracked, and it's just your head explodes. But now, hopefully, my life is a lot more stable than it was 10 or 15 years ago, and I'm able to really sort of focus on my hobby. But anyway, here we are. And so we're going to embark on a journey to build this. Here it is. Let me get you on the B-cam here. This is the Zoukei-Mura Super Wing Series, number 8. It's the HO229 Horton. And it is an extraordinary kit. I don't mind telling you that. It absolutely is. Now, this build is going to take me a significant amount of time. So there may not be a part 2 or a part 3 to this right away. I don't know. It depends on how much time I can devote to this, because I've got some other kits I want to share with you. But anyway, we'll sort of chip away at everything. Brett knows that it's going to take a little while for me to get to it, but I wanted to dive in and do a little bit just to kind of get my toe wet. And I thought, you know what, let's just see what happens. So last few days, I've put about 12 hours into it, and I'll show you the result of 12 hours of work, and then we'll talk about where we go from here. But I wanted to share with you a little bit about this incredible bizarre plane. This book is from Zoukei-Mura. They put it out. It's extraordinary that they do this. I've never seen this before. It's called the Concept Notes, and what it is basically every single piece of research you could ever want to know about this plane. Now, it is in Japanese, but they're also kind enough to give you a little bit of it in English. So we're able to sort of share with you. What's incredible about this is that in 1943, Hermann Göring, it says here, he proposed the project which aimed to produce an aircraft that could carry a 1,000-kilogram bomb, a bomb load across a distance of over 1,000 kilometers at a speed of 1,000 kilometers. So that's why they called it Project 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. It's kind of interesting. And so the project, it says it was a golden opportunity for the Horton brothers, who'd been passionate about gliders since they were very young, to develop and devoted their lives to the development of flying wings. Their flying wings achieved good results and were gradually accepted into the Luftwaffe, and one was finally officially adopted as the HO229. In the closing days of the war, in the midst of a turbulent time, these young men's wishes and desires were caught in the destruction caused by the war. In the first chapter, it says they want to talk about the appearance of this plane, and now this is actually the model itself that's been finished by somebody far more talented than I. And the first thing I immediately went to, you know, and I thought about when I saw this was, I remember the flying wing from Raiders of the Lost Ark. See, because this is where my head goes. I don't want to glorify Nazi Germany, but I am fascinated with the war. My parents were in the war. My father, who passed away in 15, he was drafted into the King's Royal Rifles when he was 19 years of age. And my mother, who would have been 12, lived through the Blitz. And, you know, the stories are harrowing. And it was an extraordinary time. So a lot of my family were touched by World War II, as were many, many others. You know, as we all have family members who perhaps we know similar stories. So here it is, and it's going into a lot of detail here on this plane, and it's going to be beautiful, and it's quite exceptional. You've got a tremendous amount of detail here that this plane offers, and so I thought to myself, well, why not? And so I was going through this book as we are going through it right now, and I was looking at it. And as I'm looking at it, I'm freaking out because I'm going, oh my God, this is a lot to bite off. But we're going to do it. We're going to hang in there, and we're going to do it. Now, before I dive in and show you the kit, I did have a consultation with Brett. We talked about what he'd like how we'd like to see this thing presented, because there's a bunch of ways to do it. And the reason why I say that is because check this out. Look at this. So this is the actual Horton 229 as it is today. Isn't that awesome? It's amazing. This is the sort of the bit that's left. I'm not sure if they have a much more of it. I think they might have the wings, but they don't show it that way. They show it this way. And so that's what got me thinking, because if you know anything about me and my channel, any chance I get to age anything, break it and make it look old, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll take everything and do that if I can. But so that's why I asked him. I said, well, how should we present it? Should we present it as it looks today in the Smithsonian? Or should we present it in its clean, pristine, finished version, as we've just seen in the pages of the notes? Or is there some other way? And I'll explain the compromise we came up with as I show you some of the parts. It'll start to make sense to you. Now, this is how the instruction manual comes. It comes looking like a file. Isn't this great? Now, we've seen this before. If any of you have gone back and saw my U9 build series, you'll know that we had a similar type of presentation. And it goes into incredible detail. Now, I do know there were two of these that were built. One of them killed the crash pilot, and that's the other one that exists in the Smithsonian. That's this one. The other one and the pilot who flew it is alas no more, or was no more. Now, I mean, essentially they were strapping themselves to a rocket, right? And just, and it's interesting because they refer to this as V3. Now, if you know anything about World War II, and I know very little, so I'm sure there's a bunch of you out there who know more than I do. V1 and V2 were, my parents used to call them the buzz bombs. They were basically self-guided rockets that had bomb loads in them, and they flung them over to England at the end of the war. They were flying anything. I mean, anything that was left, they were catapulting it, throwing it, whatever they could do. And so the wing was never really something that they could really take advantage of. Now, in the book, which is, as I said, set up like this file with a tremendous amount of detail, the first thing you notice is that in the guide section, they give a call out for all the paints. Now, what's interesting about that is it's all Vallejo. And I've never seen this before. Usually it's Mr. Hobby or something else, but or perhaps sometimes Tamiya, but I've never seen it in Vallejo. Now, most of these colors are the 710 series. Those are airbrush paints, and the 711 and the 709 series. That's just their regular paint. Those are not airbrushed. They're to be mixed, and then what I really appreciate about what they've done is as you go through the guide, at the bottom of every page here, I'll show you right here. At the bottom of every page, as you're building along, they're showing you the paint call-outs for the detail. Really appreciated, and then they're showing you what the actual finished item should look like. And so that's also appreciated too, and they're pretty darn close on their colors here. I mean, this particular let me get this in the frame for you. you know, this color is a mixture of a gray and the silver, and you get this really interesting kind of copper bronze. I was really sort of stunned by it, but it works really well. As you can see, very clear, explicit details, but also one of those realities where if you are not paying attention, you'll reverse something. An example is these here. Now, what this is, it's part of the compressor rotor system that pushed air, thrusted air through the actual engine itself. And curiously, they want you to build these and paint them. And I'm going to show you the tree that this comes on. Here it is. And you know, lots of detail, lots of great detail on this kit. Really, really fine, and no flash really to speak of. A couple of a couple of little issues, but nothing really untoward. However, when you get to these parts here, and you want to assemble them, the interesting thing about that is, let me put that there. The interesting thing about that is it's a very specific way they want you to do it, and I had a little bit of difficulty on the first go around, because the good news about once you build one and you've got to build another one, you kind of know where you have to go and what to watch for. But I found it a little difficult to figure out just exactly which way was the front and which way was the back, even though they explain that there is a high side and a low side, and it is critical that you get them in the right order, because, as I said, if you don't get these in the right order, it just simply won't go together. However, having said that, and I did put one together, and I took a lot of time and a lot of trouble to make sure I got it right, and whoosh, I got it right. But once you encase it into the actual engine itself, it's gone. You don't see any of it. Now, there is a way to display it with the case open, the casing open. But I don't think we're going to do that. We are going to do a cutaway into the plane, and I'll show you more about what we're talking about as we go through. It'll become more obvious. But I just think that the way we're going to display this, in my eye, it's about to be flown. Now, since it didn't fly, its test flight was a disaster. It never came back, and so it doesn't have the engine stains and the grime and all of the things. But we're going to put some washes on it just to give it some life and make it look like it is, a flying machine. It perhaps even could have had its engine fired on the ground, and so it would have had some fluid leaks and some some dirt and stuff like that. And so we're going to put a little bit of grime on it just to give it some extra detail. But it is one of those kits where what you realize is, as you go through it, that a big part of this build is in fact the engines. And once you've built the engines, you start to put them into the frame. And this is where it starts to get interesting, because literally, as you put them into the frame and you build this very complicated airframe, and it is complicated, you do start to realize one very critical thing, and that is once you get this incredibly detailed airframe into its correct position, and you drop your engines into that, you start to realize that ultimately, if you go any further with the construction of this to where you are, skinning it, you literally start to, it disappears. The engines go right into these covers, and they're gone. So what we thought we would do is finish the aircraft on one side, and then on the other side do a cutaway so that we could see perhaps a piece of the engine and a piece of the wing. Now, the great thing about that is that I'm going to pull this box towards me and hope I don't, because there's a few things here I want to share with you. And one of them is the reason why a cutaway became obvious to us. Well, not necessarily obvious, but became seemed like a relatively good idea. Is because, and I'm gonna, let me open this pack here because I think it's worth it. Is my panic subsided just a little bit when I saw this, because as you can see here, the frame is a lot of the frame is together. So they have, while they've given us some complicated construction, and we do have to be careful about how we align these, because anything out of alignment and you're just not going to get a nice fit on any of this. And so you've got to be super careful. And one of the things I've noticed, interestingly enough, as I built the engine, was that my Tamiya quick setting and my Tamiya regular, cements, our regular go-tos, you know what I'm talking about, these. I thought they would be quite helpful for me. Now, they're not behaving quite well with this plastic. Now, there's all kinds of different plastics out there, and there's all kinds of different injection molding, sort of factories and how they mold and inject. It's interesting to see how the plastic changes from company to company. But I'm getting a better result, believe it or not, with CA glue, and also with just a little bit of this, which I've started to use more and more. And it's kind of a sort of a high-end version of the old, the old classic glues that we used to get. And I still use those, believe it or not, because when I want to melt some plastic together and make sure it doesn't go anywhere, I mean, other than epoxy resin, that's really the only way to do it. And you get some great results. And that particular, these particular brands now, they have these super fine nozzles. And don't worry about it if they clog up. Quick tip here, no, I'm not going to blow myself up, please. You just hit this with a flame, and you'll see it takes off. And then the next thing you know, is you've got a clean tip, and you're ready to go again. So if you're clogged, that's how you unclog. So check this out. I'm going to open this up because it's okay. We're not, we don't have to polish this, and we don't have to. It's not going to stay like this. But it is interesting that they gave us it like this. Look at this. It's the frame itself, the skin, I should say, and it's all in clear plastic. They did the whole thing in clear plastic so that if you wanted to, you could just finish it that way, and so that you could see all the inner workings. I mean, that's how they thought about it. But I mean, it'll look like a toy. I mean, come on. So it's going to get painted. But it's also, I'm going to perhaps do some cutting, and I'll have to be careful about how I do that. But to create a cutaway, we'll do that because I think that's going to be that's going to be a lot of fun, and it will really show off that airframe. And what's amazing is they give you all the stuff they give you. They give you this. Look at this. So this comes with it, and it's the specs of this plane, and it shows you what everything is. Now, for somebody like me who doesn't know very much about anything to do with aircraft, this was really appreciated. So you can start really understanding what things are and what they do. Because if you're going to build one of these, you might as well sort of understand it, right? So it really starts to explain to you where everything is and what it does on the plane. And you know what? I really appreciate that because, getting an education on these things is really kind of fun. So anyway, the other thing too is this plane was built out of plywood. I kid you not. I mean, it sounds like a bit of a train wreck from the very beginning, doesn't it? But anyway, now this company, Zoukei-Mura, make these decals, these plywood decals. I kid you not. Look at this. Now, I'm sure some of you will say, Phil, I've seen this before. What's the big deal? Well, the big deal is that I haven't. And they're all various different colors, which is really appreciated because you can really start to have some fun with this. Let me get out of it. I'm sorry. Have some fun with this in terms of showing a little bit of the plane. So in the cutaway, I'm going to produce just an area of this that you'll see. So you'll see what it was actually made of. So we'll do paint, sort of its finish, and then you'll see what it looks like under its finish, and then we'll drop down and you'll see the airframe and the innards. And we'll do that on one wing. I'm not going to do it on both wings. And hopefully that will really give us a really cool look into how this plane was built, the anatomy of this plane, and it'll tell a story. The other thing too is Zoukei-Mura also build incredible display stands, and so we've got already a pre-plan for how to display this, and I'll be sharing that with you in a later episode when we get down the road. But I wanted to. So anyway, so that's it, and that's a little bit of it. Now I'm not doing a complete unboxing because you guys, I don't do unboxings. I'm not really super good at it, and But anyway, let me show you what I've been working on, which is this engine. Now, don't panic. There's gloss. It's got a gloss coat on it because I'm going to be doing some weathering and some aging on this with some oils and some stains. So I needed to get a gloss coat on this. I may also hit it with some all-clads. I'm not sure, to show some of the scorching and perhaps some heat here at the muzzle end where perhaps it might have fired. But all the pipes are on here. Everything. I've not missed a thing. I want you to know that it took every ounce of my patience and every no cuss words. Can you imagine trying to build this on camera? I think you'd shoot your. I mean, now there are some guys who can do that. I know one of them, Plasmo, who is just a god amongst plane builders. And he would do that. And in fact, he would also do something that I took a chapter out of his book to do, which is, I'm pointing to it, this piece here, and I'm going to do more of it, is lead pipe, is lead. Just a little bit of lead, versus the piece next to it, which is a plastic part that came with the kit. Now I point that out because I actually happen to think that the lead wire is extraordinary. Now there is one piece of color here. You can see this brass pipe that it calls for. And then here's this gray and silver color. Here's your black, and then here's just your regular metallic silver. So that's all good. And then you'll notice here I've got a little seam work I've got to work on, which I'll be working on. And here you'll see there's a seam right here that I've got to work on. But I wanted to put this together because I wanted to just get a sense of just exactly how complicated this was going to be, and also just feel it out for myself. So I've got a lot of dry brushing, a lot of washes to do, but I'm actually relatively pleased with it. So anyway, that is sort of what I'm doing for Brett. And I hope you'll follow along on this series, because it's a very important build for me, and it fills my heart with joy to be able to do it. for him. And you know, it's a lot of fun to try something that's out of my comfort zone. But, you know, I must admit, when you're sitting here and you're trying to, you know, use a pair of pliers to put something on it, and it pings into the universe, you do start to go, oh, you know what, give me a 1-350 refit Enterprise any day. And one of those is coming, I promise you. So anyway, that is it for part one of my build the HO299, the Horton, the 132 scale Horton from Zoukei-Mura. So let me know in the comments what you think about this plane and about this subject matter, because it's always great for me to hear your thoughts. And if you guys are building something or have built something like this, I'd love to know too. Until we meet again, as always, guys, I wish all of you, please be well, be safe, build something, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.